Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you. Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 101. Terror is in the air as we deep dive into the most recent installment of the Horrorverse. Will the Butcher of Hyde Street's origin and nefarious purpose finally be revealed? You've come to the right place to find out. I'm Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my better half, Snoggle. My dear, how do you do?
I'm doing fantastic. I feel in a particularly spooky mood. So, yeah, I'm excited to deep dive into this book. Really wish I had part 2 right now. That's how excited I am.
Yeah, some comics are quick reads, and some comics you read really fast because you can't stop. And this was the latter of the two. And I really loved it. I think it was certainly worth the wait. And it was cool because, Francis Portella has been doing some of these, and this was another one from fan favorite Yvonne Hayes. So looking forward to talking about it with you today.
Yeah, great book. We can't give anything away, though, because we haven't done our spoiler pause.
We haven't. For that one poor soul who's never listened to this podcast.
They're like, I wonder what this is about. What's a deep dive? Is this about Gerald the Dolphin?
Could be. Now there's a Gerald the Dolphin out there that's offended.
I know. He's going to kidnap you to finish his underwater city.
Well, not a dolphin, but would love to shout out another new friend of ours, as usual. And this is, if you go on Instagram and you look up Domingos Panda Artwork, the Domingos, panda like the animal, artwork like what they make, then you will find an artist that recently collaborated with us on a really cool Tariq Geiger process reel, showed from beginning to end, including coloring and inks, etc. And he has a still on the page as well, on his page. So if you want to see the reel, it's collaborated with us on Ghost Machine Fans, all one word, on Instagram. And super cool. So and it is neat the way that he did the reel. Also, love the fact that you were nice enough to collaborate with us so we could share your work with all of Ghost Machine fandom, as it were. And make sure to go check out that stuff. There's a lot of cool content on their page. But enough about our strangers who are friends on the internet. Snoggle is back in the newsroom.
So today is Wednesday, March 25th, which happens to be the release date for the very book we are deep diving into today, Hyde Street 11. Also, the next final order cutoff date is on March 30th, which is the last day you can pre-order the Hornsby and Halo Volume 2 trade paperback and the highly anticipated Rook Exodus 10.
10. Rook Exodus 10 coming to double digits. A lot of people excited about that. And I gotta say, I do enjoy Hornsby and Halo Volume 1 trade paperback, even though I got all the issues and read them as I went. It is a fun book to read, in the volumes. Well, they all are, but it's a different experience for each of them. And I think it is something you want to do with Hornsby and Halo. That's for sure. We're going to talk more about Rook Exodus 10 and Rook Exodus in general in the listener mail. But right now, we need to stroll back down that ever.
Captivating street.
I was going to say terrifying. That ever terrifying and captivating street that everyone could end up on, because we need to look at the covers for issue number 11 of Hyde Street. And the first one is by the all-star team who we know and love: Yvonne Hayes, Danny Mickey on inks, and Brad Anderson on colors. This red and black butcher cover that says, just terrifying, very horror-y looking cover.
I feel like it's fantastic, especially when it's really, in my opinion, hard to just do essentially two colors. And of course, you have multiple shades of red, but I like this cover a lot.
And there's a lot of subtle horror, and it's funny because I know we only got a chance to talk to Yvonne one time on the show, and he was just like so positive and charismatic. So when I see this and there's like all this, like, because to me it looks like it's supposed to be raining blood, essentially. So that's horrific. But then also, like, in some of the stuff on the left, it looks like he's like drawn slight skeletal remains of things, and like, and that's just as scary as the way that Danny inks the folds in Dude's suit. It reminds me of like the first time anybody ever saw Candyman, or I don't know, like that type of a story about a particular person that they knew they had, that you had to get away from. What'd you think of the fun cover, the Pranky, the B cover with Pranky sitting in his treehouse?
I like it. I feel like he's on a swing though.
Oh, isn't he on a swing in front of his treehouse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so he's reading Rook Exodus, it looks like. That makes sense.
I kind of like it though.
Yeah, well, Cale New is the artist on that for all the things, pencils, inks, and colors. And he's a really well-known artist. He did the recent Connecting cover series in the Rook Exodus books. And while this Hyde Street cover is not a Connecting cover, it's sweet. Rook Exodus 10 is, in fact, another one of those Connecting covers that's still going. So, yeah, people really dig the Cale New.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Did you see this Raza cover? The artist's name is Raza.
I love the fact that it's like the X-ray circle thingy looks like smoke in front of them, like smoke rings.
That's smart. You know what I mean? It's like smart art.
Yeah.
So it looks like digital
art.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Well, but I think it's digital art, but yeah, because he's smoking, and the smoke coming out of his lips is not red, but then it's like his X-ray circles from his glasses are going across diagonally the whole thing, and it's like smart and artistic and super detailed. Like, you can even just kind of weird detail to point out, I guess, but like the way his hand is in his pocket and everything's crumpled up, like it seems like 3D digital art of some sort. Remember how there was a Youngblood crossover thing? Are you familiar with the show Invincible on Amazon? No? Well, it's an animated superhero story for adults. And it is very prominent in the comic book world, like as big as Walking Dead, and written by the same person that created and wrote Walking Dead for many, many years. And so there's this big fun, very different comic book than Youngblood, but similar concept in terms of this cover crossing over deal, because there's lots of different image titles doing this. There's also most of the Ghost Machine ones are doing it as well. So you'll see that, and that's what that's a reference to. It's super fun.
I like that. Maybe I'll have to watch it.
That's a good idea. I've never given that one a gander. We could do it together. And that makes this your spoiler pause for Hyde Street number 11. Well, where does this pick up off? Like, it's been a little while, right? Because it's easy from the intro to remember that Pranky was in the situation with the wolf mask. And then we had the Dr. Ego issue where they were trying to get that off. But then in the background of all that, there's the whole butcher thing, which was the last issue we talked about primarily, right?
So what we'll do is I can read the previously. So I'll read that, and then Nick Wilson, you can do the creator roll call. What do you think about that?
That sounds great to me.
Amazing. So, previously, shady salesman, Mr. X-Ray, the sadistic scout Pranky, the tragic matinee monster, the calculating Miss Goodbody, the fortune teller con artist sisterhood, and the sadistic Dr. Ego, all residents of Hyde Street who compete for the one thing that allows them escape, collecting 10,000 souls for the enigmatic scorekeeper. When a werewolf mask merges with Pranky's flesh, only Mr. X-Ray's glasses can possibly remove it. But first, Pranky must go through his own inner conflict. So, I believe the last book was mainly about sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the, with the matinee monster in the castle.
Yep. And the butcher.
But now, and the butcher, yeah. So now we're back to what's going on with Pranky.
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack in this issue. And as requested, I will give you a creator roll call.
Yes.
So we have the creators of the series, Jeff Johns and Yvonne Hayes, inks by Danny Mickey, and our color artist is Brad Anderson. Our letterer is Rob Lee. Our designer is Steve Blackwell. And our editor is Brian Cunningham. Brian Cunningham also sells excellent t-shirts on Etsy, and Becky and I have 2 of them. The Butcher of Hyde Street. So I'm going into this with a little bit of preface, especially for any of you Ghost Machine fans out there that have read Blackest Night, who have read some of the Earth One stuff that Jeff did, who have read JSA even early, or obviously plenty of Green Lantern. Jeff Johns is very good at misdirection for the purpose of the real thing being very impactful. And so we keep being like, the butcher, who is this butcher guy? He must be so evil. Like all the evil people are afraid of the most evil one, right? Like that's how, like I'm off there. And so this issue makes me feel a bit like maybe that's the button we're going to press, and then that's the lever that's going to flip. And I think maybe it's just the way he appears. Yeah. So let's just throw that out there. But we do pick right back up and it all ties to Pranky, though. That's what I like about this. It ties to Pranky. And at the end of the last issue, remember, he was trying to get Sisterhood to let him out of his cell.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't do it. And then on one of the last panels, he held up, like, he had the card for him. He had Pranky's card. And he was like, that's okay. If you won't do it, I know somebody who will do it. And so now it's interesting because this is Pranky. What do you think of this amazing full page spread of Pranky sitting there like tripping out with the X-ray glasses in werewolf mode?
Amazing detail. As far as like the introduction, I believe it's really crazy that the scorekeeper essentially convinced Dr. X-ray or Mr. X-ray to stay there because he melted his eyes. Nuts.
But the reason is it forces him to wear the glasses, which allows him to also be all seeing in other ways, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Part of the irony is this, even though this being is no longer a child, Pranky is in the form of a child, and he stole the werewolf mask, and that's why he's looking like this, but he's got the X-ray glasses on because Dr. Ego prescribed it as such, and we find out why. Because ultimately the mask will only fall off if you don't think you're a monster. And so that's where we'll get to. But I just wanted to say about this first page and like the swirly dirly or whatever, and the amount of detail that you're talking about. This is the type of stuff that reminds me we're in another realm of artistic capability. Like when you see Yvonne here or Gary or Brian or Peter or or Francis or etc. or Jason, like everybody that they have on all these teams, or Layla, it's really like, wow, man, like just mind blowing. And I just think this is one of those times where the artist took so much care to do this, and you can buy a product with this in it for $4.
Indubitably.
So the reason that this works, though, right, is the glasses allow him to see something.
Yeah.
And he's seeing. I mean, this takes a very serious. This is a very serious comic.
Serious, very quickly, because Ghost Machine fans, this is pretty historically accurate. So it says, "Welcome to Camp Manzanar," and that is an actual. They called them relocation centers. Essentially, 10,000-ish Japanese Americans were held in these, quote, camps during World War II. So it's pretty accurate. So that's how we begin with this double splash page, which is very well drawn. Just, but it's about to take a pretty dark turn.
They're pulling these folks into this place on a bus. Looks like there's a lot of that happening. But the imagery here, it helps us understand what Pranky's kind of like living in the moment too, right? Because his mom gets off the bus, then he's coming behind her, and we actually see him there, but that's really just him like Uncle Scrooging it, right? Like he's only able to see it or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. As we go through the book, it seems it's a smidgen more than just Uncle Scrooge in it.
You're right. I think he can somehow later connect with the world and actually affect the things. But in this moment, it looks like he's an observer because he's like, nobody's like, who's that kid? Or tell that Boy Scout to go away. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because they're all like, she's going into labor because his mom is pregnant and she's pregnant with him.
Yeah, she's pregnant. Then she's like pushed down. It's just really sad. They're forcing her into this camp. They push her down, and a lovely, I mean, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so sad. Because someone tries to, like an old man tries to protect her and say she's pregnant. And like this American soldier like pushes him to the side, and then she falls down, and you can see like she's in labor pains or in some kind of pain, right? And then like this is probably the first time we've ever seen Pranky look genuinely innocent when he says stay away from her.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of the look on his face when he's got the evil eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And at least, well, you get a sense of the racism rather quickly. Even the soldier referring to the gentleman as old man in like a very objective way. And then it does actually go in, like, at least they do give her medical attention. At least they do put her in a position to have a child. But they just assume she doesn't speak English, even though she does. And it's just like racism is an immediate, obvious theme. This whole camp is there because of that, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Pranky watching himself get born, which I'll tell you, like, that is terrifying. I wouldn't want to see them at all. Like, even if I had the happiest, I had a really good childhood. I don't want to see myself getting born. I don't even like seeing the pictures of myself when I get cleaned up after. you know?
Yeah.
So like that is that's not fun. And then in this situation, he even hears like the positioning that Yvonne has here, where the doctor in the panel that's over the shoulder of Pranky says, "Just help me get it out of her. We've got others waiting." And then the look
Oh,
on Pranky's eyes as he sees himself born, and then when she looks at the child, and he asks her in the vision, like, that's what I think, like, I don't think they see him because nobody's like, "What are you doing here, kid?" And she's not acknowledging the Pranky that we see kind of in the moment talking. She's
yeah.
acknowledging the infant. And so Pranky says, "Mom, where are we? What is this place?" And then the doctor makes them take the baby, who they still will not even give, like, they won't acknowledge it as a human being. They say to take the baby out because they have orders to give the child to the husband because he's a war hero. And she
Mm.
never touches him.
I hate how they say take it out of here too.
And
Ugh.
that's, I think, this is like that's a heavy comics, man,
Yeah, she
right
just gave
there.
birth. Strap her down.
Oh, I don't
Ugh.
even want to think about. Yeah, right.
I mean, you got the delightful pleasure of being there for when our son was born.
I
I
know, and
mean,
you were a
jeez.
maniac.
What do you mean?
We had to strap you down, and we had no nefarious intentions. These people, come on.
I know. Whatever. I was cracking jokes. I was a delight.
Oh, I thought you meant like in the moment.
Oh,
Um,
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I just can't even imagine, like, you just gave birth. You're feeling, I mean, there is a lot of joy involved in that, right? And then to just have that ripped away from you and then they're going to strap you down. It's wild, disgusting behavior.
and that is what triggers Pranky to transform into demon mode and stop and intervene. So, what is your interpretation of how he's interacting with what is for all intents and purposes just the vision of something he wasn't really there for?
I feel like his rage maybe broke him through. I was mostly focused on the fact that I'm not certain if he ripped that. Oh, I guess it's his neck. He's literally ripping out the dude's jugular. Wow. Wow. The just scary, scary art of Monster Frankie with just blood all over him saying, "Don't touch my mother," is disturbing. But I think it's almost like he broke through into it.
Like he crossed the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's even more interesting, he's transformed. So presumably he has Hyde Streety powers. And up until this point, nobody. either nobody's just noticed or cared that there was like random Boy Scout everywhere or watching this person give birth, etc., talking to her at random, and she was ignoring him. Or when he manifested in that way, it really penetrated into something because when one of the soldiers shoots him, it hits him and he says, "Get that monster," and it stops him. It reverses the transformation, and Pranky points out that in bleeding in his own hand, that getting shot hurt. And
Yeah.
it's like, what? That's weird. So I don't know, because he's in the vision the glasses gave him.
Well, it did say at the beginning that it exists like in many different layers, Hyde Street,
Yeah.
and they can interact and sometimes willingly, sometimes not. Everything is pretty magical on Hyde Street anyway. I guess it's not so far fetched to me that all of a sudden he was able to interact and also feel pain too. Oh my gosh. And I will say, so after the bite scene, she's upset, says, bring back my child. And she's about to get shot. And I mean, what a beautiful SPLAATCH from Rob right there. What I can say here is, wow, that is a Crocodile Dundee moment. Like, that's not a knife, that's a knife. Like, oh my goodness. Right through kind of the jugular / jaw. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
that's must have been hard to pull back out of that one.
no.
But that's that noise. Then he cuts off the guy's head and it's SPLORTCH. Let alone the next couple of smacks, etc. Then Pranky's like, well, who is this? And then we get a full page spread of the butcher who's saying, go to your mother, with a bunch of weird, evil, spirity looking people outside looking in now, which don't look like they're the people that were from that camp in that memory. And in the moment, it looks like the butcher was able to interact with the other stuff that Pranky was also able to interact with, and he looks like he saved him ish. Then that's very specific. Like it's like he's giving him this moment, and or this moment is somehow real. I don't know, but
I
he
think it is
says
real because it feels like all of this can, I don't know.
exist at the same time.
Correct.
It's like a surreal, like if like those more surreal movies. I feel like that's what Hyde Street turns into,
Yeah, it's
and
like Hyde
that's
Street
cool.
is Hyde Street exists out of time in a separate place of time space. So you can go back to your current, I don't know. I don't know that anyone ever gets to go back, but that's neither here nor there.
I just know that's far out, man. There's still details though, right? Like amidst what we're saying with him being able to hug his own mom, who just is at the who just had him as a baby in the moment, weird things and magic and understanding.
Which never happened before, by the way.
What?
If this is real, Pranky never got to meet his mother. And he always
And
only,
vice versa.
yeah, he only grew up with his awful father.
Yeah. What?
Sad.
Well, so the butcher, after telling him to go to his mom, Pranky has this great panel where two eyes are
Uh,
tearing up, and the butcher says, "Go, boy, before the scorekeeper sees." And so he's either a real bad dude who's real powerful, who's trying to do a favor to get what he wants, or maybe he's not a bad dude, but I don't know.
just
So
because I am bad guy. does not make me bad guy.
Right?
That's a little Wreck-It Ralph for any of the non-parents
I
listening to this
know. Isn't that
podcast.
Zangief from Street
Yeah,
Fighter that says that?
yeah,
That's funny. But he's giving him the moment regardless. I think
yeah.
like whether or not the mechanics of it are one or the other, he gets to hug his mom, but then she
Wait, pause. My baby, I love you so much. This splash page, chef's kiss, the light behind it, the glow, the sadness, but also still like there is blood. I mean, this is just very, very well done. And he says, Mommy. Oh, so sad.
yeah, that's like a not a comic book
Oh,
type of thing. Like put that in a art gallery or something. I don't
I
know.
know.
Pretty amazing. Doesn't work out though because she ends up hacking up the venom goop, which hits him with all the memories of the things. And it's just crazy to me, man, how you can say so much with so little. Because there's the soldiers that are like the little monster belongs in the cage with the rest of them. But then there's the guy with only one arm and a belt in his hand. And he says, "You look like the bastard who took my arm." And
Yes, which
so,
is him being, by the way, racist against his own wife.
right,
So
exactly.
he is a POS.
It's so harsh, man. So
So
harsh.
harsh. And
So
then we
many
get to
combinations.
see these little scouts, which our Cub Scouts would never act this way,
No way, man.
teasing
Not
him, saying
never.
he's a freak just like his old man.
Yeah. I just think that there was an era where comics broached this type of subject matter because the industry was like changing. And
Yeah.
so like certain people chose to enter this realm at times. And it was way more prominent like in the hardcore years. Like, that turned into lots of other less poetic things.
Yeah.
But the when you read this comic, like if this, there's a saying like every comic is somebody's first comic. And if I'm into horror stuff, let's just say that or
Yeah.
whatever, and I want to get into comics, but I don't read comics, and I just go to a comic book store because I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, hey, I like I like horror stuff. What should I buy? And I buy this issue of this comic. I will get to this point and I will be like, whoa, whoa. And I'll flip back to that cover and be like, really? That's how much this cost. Okay. And it's just like, I don't know.
Well,
It's just not what you think you get in a
it's a
comic book.
different level of if you're
So,
thinking of yourself in like an actual horror story. He wasn't always bad. Like these are actual people who lived very painful memories. Obviously, we know Pranky did some bad stuff, but I mean, like, they're also being tortured to a degree. It's sad and scary at the same time, you know?
it's all the above, but it does a good job as you turn the page of being like, okay, cool. Let's get back to this story and this butcher character because it's getting dark, and we need to keep moving with the intrigue. And he's like, where's my mom? And she's gone. And the butcher tells him he took her back to the darkness and he tells him they're both prisoners there and that he can get him to her, but he needs help. And so this is like the first indicator of like, is it evil? Is he unable to get? Because you got to remember, he needs out of the room in the castle. And at the same time, he was trying to tell sisterhood in the last issue that he needed help with a doorway that was cracked open from the outside. And he needs to be freed before it closes. So the way he's saying it in this issue makes it sound like he just needs out of that room in that castle and he'll go to the doorway. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, the scorekeeper will never let me leave. I know too much about him, about Hyde Street.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Also, I must ask you about that mustache. He's got a
Oh,
strong mustache. Did you
he
not get my
does.
pun? I don't like how much he paused.
No, I was thinking, what is that? He looks like he's a well-dressed guy, but he also has like a cap that would indicate he does a service of some kind, like maybe
It's very Peaky
someone's.
Blinders.
Yeah. Oh, I think maybe maybe it's something from then. But I guess that might be a really good call. But I don't know. That hat is it? I don't know if it sits that way, but we'll see. And because he uses like some sort of machete to do his butchering, it looks like.
Yeah.
But
he says, "Go to the castle, boy, and you'll see your mother soon."
yeah, it's super interesting. And then the mask comes off because
he doesn't feel like a monster anymore.
I know, and then that
but
makes
it
you
kind of looks
curious.
like one. You cured me.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the happy, like smiley, glowy boy that was in the visions.
No. He looks very scary.
He looks like a reinvigorated serial killer. And there's just one panel from the nurses, and that's funny. Like you remember this one panel about them joking about how they wouldn't want to have kids, and one of them says that they would have sent theirs back to the factory. And it's just so funny because you remember them. And if this was your first comic book, you'd be like, wow, I want to read more about them. How do I do that?
But then it looks like he explodes through the door, I'm assuming. I have questions.
Yeah, I think Pranky got his groove back or whatever.
Yeah.
And bounced. Like, because he says later hags, and then it's like he breaks and there's a flash and he's gone.
Well, and then, Mr. X-Ray gets to put the glasses back on and he sees his daughter. This feels real in a weird way.
This is real. This is the door that broke from the outside. This is what the butcher wants to find. They detected that somebody was trying to get in. And she even says that. She's like, I've been searching for these for so long. I don't know how long I can keep the doorway open or if I can ever open it again.
And the scorekeeper's name,
I know.
Don, is Edmund Ripley. What?
Super interesting because that's like a person. That's not like Lucifer or like the Omniscient One or the Adjudicator, if you're a Hornsby and Halo fan. It's just Edmund Ripley. And it's like, is he related to the character from Aliens or the guy with the Believe It or Not museum?
Or isn't there a movie called The Talented Mr. Ripley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good movie. Sure.
Where
There's a third one.
Like a psychological thriller.
Yes, it is. We get the scorekeeper's name, and for some reason, a child from outside the realm they're in knows it. And we get it wrapped up by the crack shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and before it shrinks all the way, she's able to get out. Dad, Hyde Street isn't what you think it. So, to me, I have I have a prediction here. This is 11 issues in. And this says next, The Butcher of Hyde Street Part 2. That's great. I'm digging the Butcher story. All of this is awesome. What this makes me feel like is going to happen is that maybe one day Hyde Street will be a team. And instead of it being Hyde Street was a street you would go on, it's the team. And it's like the horror team or whatever. Because they find out that Hyde Street's just like a pocket of their horrific realm or whatever. I don't know. I feel like this is an indicator like what? Because if they change gears on what Hyde Street is or don't explain it or do explain it, like see, this is what Jeff is I find this very entertaining about the way that he writes comics because I feel like I really don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know for sure what's going to happen. And it's probably going to be different than what I expect. Like it's the same thing with Redcoat right now and what's going to happen with Benedict Arnold because we joke a lot about how we think, oh yeah, obviously he's just going to kill his family. But you're not just going to be that. And when whatever happens is going to blow your mind. And so I think that's what Hyde Street really is. Like, holy cow, what the heck? How did she get to him, man? And she's still that age. How is she still that age?
Yeah. I don't know. A lot. We need answers.
That's a big question though, because he didn't just get there. Like he's got a decent score, right?
Yeah.
So why is she appearing at that age?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, to my point about a team, did you see this really cool 2-page spread of The Butcher of Hyde Street Part 2?
Yes.
The butcher is set free. Who dies first? That's really cool. I would frame that bad boy, like get a big one of it. It kind of has that, it wants to look distressed look.
Yeah.
There are, I believe, 2 characters we have yet to meet.
Yeah,
No, 3 characters. There's like a guy that looks scary with a big beard and a military outfit, like maybe a Russian military outfit or something like that. There's a woman in a maid outfit. And then there's the one that's a Raquel Welch allegory. I remember that one.
I want to know who this maid is.
The maid.
I have questions for all 3, really.
And at the same time, the Ghost Machine guidebooks, one of them will be about Hyde Street.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so there's going to be a lot going on. That probably is a good place to learn about that universe as well. Because we know there are going to be some more hints in the bios and stuff, but man, that's a cool 2-page spread. That's at least computer wallpaper worthy.
Yeah,
for sure. But this is one of my favorite issues in a while because I'm like, wait, what new thing here? Like so much new. I don't know that if the butcher is maybe he's a bad guy, but I don't think he's like, let me help you, Pranky. I don't want you to go through that badness. No, he definitely is selfish and somewhat evil. I just want to know why it matters that he knows about everything, and that's why he's just trapped there like another resident. Because the butcher also has a 0 score on the board. He always has a 0. Yeah.
I actually don't know that I think he's the bad guy. We just we have no answers. We need the number 12 to come out. Stat.
But excited for the next issue of that. Next episode after this, we're going to be talking about Geiger 22, which we didn't get a chance to do on the release day because we had to interview a few fine fellas from Ghost Machine. But before we wrap up this episode, we have a listener mail. Would you like
Yes,
to
we
read
do.
it, Snoggle?
Our listener mail is from First Timer EXP. I'm a huge fan of Rook Exodus and absolutely love the book. However, I've been upset by the recent long delays. Rook number 10 was scheduled for release in February. It has been pushed back now to May. Can you please shed some light on what is the problem and why the book is being delayed repeatedly? The fans have waited a year for the second arc of Rook to be released, only to get 3 issues before a now 5-month delay. We understand Fabok's art takes time, but we also were under the understanding that the year-long hiatus was so that the second arc could be completed before release. What is causing the issue? I hope that we will see more Rooks soon. Well, one, I can answer because final order cutoff for the book is coming up. So it's definitely coming out.
Yeah. Sure.
And I can understand being frustrated when you love something so much. Like I recently waited for years for Project Hail Mary to come to theaters after I read the book and listened to it multiple times. But patience is a virtue, right? Right?
No. No. First timer EXP. No, Ghost Machine fans. Patience is not a virtue because she made a 10-year-old skip soccer practice to see that movie the night it came out. She couldn't wait till the day after. Well, let's hope the coach doesn't listen to this episode.
Yeah. It was amazing though.
Yes. So obviously the way you feel about Project Hail Mary is similar to the way that first timer EXP feels about Rook Exodus. And thank you very much for writing in to ghostmachinefans@gmail.com with this awesome question, which I'm happy to field for you. So Rook 10 is on final order cutoff, so make sure to do that. But I'll tell you what I know from this is when the stuff is going to come out and what you can count on and the way you should look at it standpoint. And then I'll tell you the way I feel about it as a comic book fan. So the commitment that I understand that's been made is to come out with one Rook Exodus arc per year. And that means like a 6-issue arc. And if you go back and listen to the interview that we did with Jason Fabok last year, he'll tell you that in the interview. And because his intent was to come out with one very high quality, finished trade paperback, or hardcover worthy, whatever you want to look at it, whatever you buy, a collected edition, let's say, per year of 6 issues, an arc per year is what he said. And so when I look at it that way, nothing is delayed because when the issue comes out, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it with you all. I'm going to read it on here and it's going to be awesome. But at the same time, I know that's what's coming out in that period of time. And so a month here or there that an issue moves doesn't really bother me. And so that's me getting to my point of how I look at it as a comic book fan. Oh, and by the way, multiple people, let's just say, that we have talked to on the show for the last few interviews have said, oh, and we're doing some more stuff with that Rook Exodus world soon. And it's not like Jason's coming out with an issue in a month. It's like, oh, we're doing some stuff. So I think that the enjoyment for that space, that world, and that property is been recognized. And I know nothing, but if I was betting, I think we'll see more content from the world of Rook Exodus in addition to what Jason's got going on, just based on the way it's been talked about. And so the way that I look at all this, though, as a comic book fan, man, is if you're like, I really want that comic book, then great. Jason Fabok did 3 Jokers. If you have read that, then he did a whole bunch of really great Justice League, and go check that out. Like there's so much awesome content that all these different creators have done. I totally get how you feel. Like, think about it. We do this podcast because we love this world and these things that these amazing people have created.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, what you can count on is that you're going to get a perfect, mind-blowing arc once a year. And it's going to come out in the cadence that it needs to come out, is the way that the impression I have.
Again, I feel like the more something is good, if it takes longer for you to have it, you're like, ah.
Yeah, we are so fortunate that there's a whole bunch of Ghost Machine comics. You can read all of them. And we're in a period of time, it's the renaissance of independent comics. Comics are expensive. I get that. Go find yourself a half-price books or an Ollie's and get down with a get down. There's amazing things you can find at amazing prices if you just want to read more comics. And I'm just telling you, that's the best therapy for being disappointed that your favorite comic book is delayed. Is just going and reading some more comics, man. And hopefully you've read all the Ghost Machine comics, but you can read other comics too. And that's a really affordable way to do that. Or check out Hoopla or whatever. You don't know what Hoopla is? It's a library-based app.
Hoopla.
And if you would like to check out all of our other content, you can do that by going to www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find all of our social media platforms and our wiki. And if you'd like to join us on Discord, you can find the invite on Reddit announcements and in our profile link thing in Instagram.
Get on it. And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
A butcher-filled podcast of doom.
Yes.